Alright, that over there is the state capitol building, right across this here lake. That right over there is where the dude overdosed as we were pulling up. There's the dog. I'm not sure if you can see him. He's passed out. And, this video is on human trafficking. Alright, now they got these things called the dope house. This is when you're slightly higher up than homeless, but probably not. You go to the dope house when you look presentable enough that the cops might not follow you. Paranoia factor. But also, they got the trap house. This ain't, this ain't where they make music. This is a different trap house entirely. Now you got these mats on the floor. Sometimes it's just rolled up blankets. Sometimes it's just a sleeping bag. But you got yourself the den ma. She's basically an older prostitute. Maybe she's younger and she got roughed up by a customer and she's not pretty enough to make any money. Or maybe she got moonshoused by proxy real bad. And, even when she's too old to work doing that kind of stuff, well, too old to work and make a decent amount of money like the pimps want and like the dealers want, that moonshousing keeps her loyal to the dude who's had her locked up for years and years. And let's say your daughter gets abducted. She's 16 years old. She goes to one of these places. The den ma's job is to get her hooked enough on these drugs that she'll put out to anybody at any point in time. And if she gets roughed up, she gets beat up real good, she might get traded off to somebody else, or she might end up in a ditch. If she ends up trying to pocket some of that money in the hopes of escaping and going somewhere safe, she might get busted and end up in a ditch. If one of her Johns wants to meet her at the truck stop instead of the house, she might end up in a ditch. He might drive off with her in the vehicle, and the pimp, he's scared for his money, but he's also scared of getting locked up, so he's going to let your daughter go off with that trucker and end up in that ditch so he doesn't get in any trouble. Not much of a pimp if he can't keep his investment safe, right? Well, that's not how this works. His investment is himself. He's selfish, or he wouldn't be doing this to your daughter. Then when she gets up, she gets beat up, or she gets recognized, it's time to trade her off. You trade her off to the bikers, or you trade her off to the truckers. Danica Garner, she can tell you about this life. Shelley Campbell can tell you about this life. Ted Bollinger can tell you about this life. Them drugs are important. You gotta keep people hooked, because it keeps them horny. Prevents them from thinking right. They just need their fix. They just need their fix. And then when they get their fix, they want sex. You get some rich white kid comes down here He'll pop 1,000 a night messing around with them little girlies and getting his fix. And when he's done, he goes to rehab. And everything's fine and dandy, and his record is expunged, and he ain't in no trouble at all. Mommy and Daddy bailed him out after he beat up a 16-year-old girl. But it's okay, he paid for it. He gave her money. That's what he wanted. He wanted to take some aggression out. Daddy wouldn't loan him $2,000 tonight. He only loaned him 1,000. This rich white boy ain't gonna never pay nobody back. Every time he gets in trouble, his mommy and daddy pay him out. Meanwhile, we got these street people. Cops ain't going after that college kid. They're going after these street people. They're going after Cat. People like him. They're going after Jessica. People like her. People who got major issues. People who should have been helped out a long time ago before their trauma got so severe. Meanwhile, I've been waiting here over an hour for Mr. Cat to come back. He's been flagging down and waving down people that he knows since we got here, and they don't seem too friendly with him. They don't seem to like him. They seem to want to walk on quickly. I understand that treatment. I've been getting that treatment for 2.5 years. Difference is, most of these people are walking on from him because he did some fucked up stuff while he was messed up, or he owes them money, or somebody started some rumors while he was gone. You never know. Maybe he looks different. Maybe he dresses different. Maybe he dyed his hair, which he did. He has dyed his hair since the last time he was here. So he's yelling at some women that he knows, wants them to come pay him some attention. They're about his age. He's 22. So he wants to flag down these women. They don't want nothing to do with him. They turn around and they look at him funny. One of them screamed at him, "Fuck you, creep." Well, yeah, it's fucking creepy. The drug life is fucking creepy. The way the police interact with it is fucking creepy. I mean, this dude saw a woman that he thought he knew, and he's driving my vehicle, and he pulls over cockeyed and sideways across 2 lanes of traffic. Where have we heard this before? Except I had mechanical difficulties. This guy has mental difficulties. And then he wants to pull an illegal U-ey in front of some police officers who are responding to a guy who just had an OD. Fuck me. Now, I'm hoping he ain't bullshitting about the whole he's got an address here I can use to get my food stamp card back. But I'm not holding my breath. However, he did get us here. He did provide the gas that got us here. However, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to kick him out of the vehicle tonight. I don't want that shit in here. I don't want anything to do with that shit. I lost too many friends to that shit. I gotta sneeze. I want my friends back. I want my loved ones back. But I also have a very good understanding of what it is that they're facing when they hit that addiction circuit. You need to stay sober if you're going to help out somebody who's addicted. You ain't going to help somebody with their fix if you're helping yourself to a fix. You're not going to help them sober up if you're constantly complaining that they're on drugs, but at the same time, you also got to protect yourself. If they're on drugs, you do have to protect yourself. Sometimes even from your loved ones. It's a tough thing to realize. You might have to protect yourself from your loved ones. I got to protect myself from my loved ones. It's because they're too afraid to come forward about this very life. The life most of them have lived. But there's also the victimization life, where all of these people out here on the streets that are addicted to these substances, they want to find somebody who's vulnerable. They need to find a person who just became homeless, or somebody who's not addicted to the drugs but is lonely and impressionable. They do the same thing in Boulder. We got the Capitol building. Maybe not even a quarter mile from here. On the camera, it looks a lot further away than it is. It almost feels like I could throw a rock and hit it. I couldn't. I don't have an arm like that, but it almost feels that close. It's the same thing in Denver. The Capitol building for the state of Colorado, surrounded by areas that are full of addicts, where your daughter's gonna go hang out. She wants to go hang out for them drugs. And them boys in her school, they got a big old crush on her, so they're gonna go down there for them drugs too. Each one of them thinking they're gonna be the lucky guy who gets the heroin first and convinces her to come home with him. And when she says no, some people just can't take no for an answer. Me, I can take no for an answer. I'm fine with the word no. When it comes to sex, anyway. There's other situations where no is not an acceptable answer. If somebody had told me that they knew where Natalie was right after she disappeared, and I asked them to go to the police and they told me no, oh, I'd make sure they didn't leave. I'd make sure they stayed there until the cops got there. That's what I was planning on doing with Joey Moreno. Problem is, in order to get in with the drug life, you gotta know somebody who's into the drug life. In order to save those lives, you need to know who lives those lives. If you want to know if your daughter's down at the trap house, you gotta know somebody who visits it, or gets his dope from the dope man who runs it. And you gotta do it quick before she gets traded. It ain't just in the Capitol building here. It ain't just in the Capitol building in Denver. I was in Cheyenne earlier. I was in Cheyenne for a few months. They got a lot less of an issue with it there, but it's still an issue. I mean, it's still a big issue there. People want me to go to the Camilla shelter. I'm like, nah, there's too many people down there on the dope. They're gonna be sick in the morning. They're going to be dry heaving and puking. And they're going to be looking on just about every corner they can for somebody that they can take it out on. Man, I'm dope sick. I'm going to go find me my next mark, my next pigeon. Gotta get that dope. Gotta get that fix. And you guys tell me I'm crazy when I talk about this shit. Like I'm talking out my backside. Like I ain't seen it 1,000 times before. Like I ain't never tried to rescue these people. Why do these young women hate people who try to help them? Because they don't want the help. They don't want the help. They want the drugs. They became the drugs. How do you help them after that? Yeah, you don't want your sister being a prostitute down here, but you can't go tell on her because you know she'll never talk to you again. Plus, she might go into recovery, lower her tolerance a bit. When she gets out, she thinks she can handle as much as she handled before. That ain't the case. And now she's frothing at the mouth and twitching on the floor. And ain't nothing you can do about it. Ain't nothing you can do about it at all. They're here one minute and they're gone the next.